Welcome everyone to another presentation, Up to the Time. Today we are going to be looking at a CXC question. We are going to be examining the CXC 2012 building drawing question. So let's go into it. Here it is. This exam is for 3 hours and 10 minutes. This exam has 2 sections, working drawing and sketch and design or 3D solid model design drawing. Answer 1 question from the working drawing and 1 question from the sketch and design or 3D solid model design drawing. Candidates may use either the traditional method or the computer aid drafting method. So let's look at the 1 question that we are going to be focusing on for the working drawing section. Figure 1 on the enclosed sheet shows the outline of a floor plan for a 2-bedroom residence in a private housing project. The outline of the roof of the building is shown on the drawing to give an indication of the design of the roof to be used. A. Draw to a scale of 1 to 50 the full sectional drawing of the building A to A to indicate foundation, floor, walls, roof. At least 3 vertical dimensions. Draw to a scale of 1 to 50 the front elevation of the building. Show clearly all construction details. Label all main construction members. Print a suitable title and the scale used at the base of each drawing. Dimensions not given are left to the candidate's discretion. Standard drawing practices and conventions for producing working drawings are to be followed. Now here are the specifications. External concrete blocks, 150 mil thick plasters on both sides. Internal concrete blocks, 100 mil thick plastered on both sides. Doors, external solid panel doors, 900 mil wide, 2000 mil high. Internal solid panel doors, 700 mil wide by 2000 mil high. Windows, casement type, 1200 mil wide by 1200 mil high. So that's a square window. Bathroom window, awning type, 500 mil wide by 500 mil high. That's also a square window. Roof, fascia, 50 mil by 200 mil. Pitch pine, 450 millimeter overhang. Minimum height of finished floor to top of ring beam, 2,550 millimeters. Now we are not going to be focusing on question 2 because we're not going to answer question 2. So let's skip question 2. This is the drawing that we are going to be focusing to derive all of our information from. This is the floor plan. Yeah. And this is the section 2, which is the sketch and design or 3D solid model design drawing. Answer 1 question from this section. Now, we are going to answer both questions because I found that this is what my students were struggling in the exam. So, however, I'm going to answer both of these questions. Make neat, well-proportioned sketches to show the symbols for representing the following walls in section: stone rubble, concrete block, brick, composite with internal and external rendering, reinforced concrete. That's question 3. We move on to question 4. Make neat, well-proportioned 3D sketches to illustrate the following types of windows: awning, casement, and horizontal sliding. Now that's the exam there. Now before I start, let's go back and look at this exam closely and see how we can break this down, because this is where sometimes the challenge lies. So I'm going to go over to the first set of instructions. All right. But before I do that, I think it's best that I bring this exam in to AutoCAD, because I want to reference this and also see my AutoCAD screen at the same time. So I'm going to take this opportunity to bring the exam in to AutoCAD now. How do we do that? Well, let's start off at the Home tab, where we have line, polyline, circle, etc. And we go over to Insert. And then while we are now at the Insert tab, we go to Attach. Attach. And then I'm going to search for it. I don't want it as a PDF. I want it as a JPEG. So I'm going to put all. And I'm going to find the exam in here. The exam is the 2020 exam. Sorry, 2012 exam. So this is what I need to bring in. I don't try to bring in multiple. I just try to bring in one. And then that's it. And I think I'm going to enlarge this slightly. Yeah. And put this right here. I'm going to do the same thing. Again. Just going to move this to the side. And I think we got our information here. So what do we have? We have everything except the plan. So let's bring the plan in now. Probably make the plan drawing the biggest. All right. And I'm going to put the plan in a nice central location here. Now, I'm going to take out my annotation and let us discuss the strategy for working with this exam. So the first thing that I want to highlight when we're looking at the specifications is walls. Walls here. We're going to both look at a drawing of a wall, which is both going to be represented. It can either be 150 mil or it can be 100 mil thick. But the important thing is it's going to show the plaster on both sides. So let's have a look at that now before we go any further. And this is it here. So this is a concrete block wall right here. And it has the plaster on both sides. Plaster is here and the plaster is here on both sides, right? So this can either be 100 or this could be a 150. But what is important is the plaster on both sides. And the plaster is usually 10 mil on each side. So this wall that's going to be 150, you're going to have to add 20 because the 10 on this side plus the 10 on this side, right? 10 on both sides equal 20. So whatever your brick, your block is that you're going to be using, you just add 20 to the final number. So in this case, it's going to be 170. And in this case, it's going to be 120 when you add 20 to each. So that's going to be the full thickness. So that's how you set. Next thing, doors. Both external and internal doors. They are 90 mil wide. Sorry, 900 mil wide by 2000 mil high. This is a tricky thing. Some students get confused here with the width and the height. And because they're confused there, they don't know what to do and they guess. So let's look at the diagram here that I have, which explains how to interpret this message. So we can see here a door. Top of the door. the bottom of the door. All right, and this will be the doorknob to make the door more descriptive. This is the height here. That is the height. And the height here is 2000. And then this is the width. And the width can either be 750 or the width can be 900. So that takes care of clearing out how to go about setting up the height and the width when drawing your section, when extracting this information to draw your section. Now let's move on. Window. Now, this is a casement window, and the size is 1200 by 1200. So it's a square. And this bathroom window is an awning type, 500 by 500, another square. So basically, we're looking at 2 square windows. Let's have a look and see how these are represented. And we can look at them here. This is the 500 window. This is the 1200 window. Saying that the 1200 window is going to be a casement window, we can probably place a line in here, right? And that would divide the window. But this would be an awning window. And if this open, this would open in this style. All right. And that would be the curve there to open. All right. Whereas this one will open in this style here. And that there will be the curve to show its opening as it goes out. More on that later. All right. So those are the specifications. The next thing now we move on to is the roof. Let's look at the fascia. The fascia board. So first thing, you need to know where the fascia is located. And we need to know where the overhang is located. So let's look at a visual of those. But while we are here, we can also observe this last piece of information. Minimum height of finished floor. So you have to know the finished floor to the ring beam is 2,550 mil. So let's look at this information visually to better understand. So we come over here and we can see the overhang where this is the fascia. Yep, that's the fascia. That's the edge of a wall. And that's the overhang there, which is 450. Clear that. And then we can also see this diagram represented at a slightly larger scale, whereas we can have the pitch of the roof, the wall. So the fascia would be here. But we have here in this one, the finished floor down here. And what we're trying to call out is the height of the room, which is represented 2,550 there, right? So this gives us a good understanding of how to interpret these specifications before we even start. And by doing that, then I'm able to draw this properly. I'm able to properly answer question 1. So now let us then go to question 1 on this sketch diagram and see how we can understand more about the foundation, the floor, the walls, the roof, and at least locate 3 vertical dimensions before we even start drawing. So let's go over to this diagram that I have here. And quickly, what are we going to be looking for? We're going to be looking for the floor. Floor is here. Yeah, that's the floor. The foundation is down here. What happens here at this intersection? This is the foundation intersection. We can find out what else do we need to look? Let's just cross-reference. We can find out how the walls are set up. These are the walls in the house. Yep. The walls there. Also here are some walls. Here's a wall with a window. This is the window. And then this is the brick walls. And then this is a beam up here. So this wall carries a chunk of information. This is a beam. And then this is a door opening. Yeah. And then lastly, it tells us about the roof. You picture the roof. And based on that, we're able to set up our overhang right here. And other pieces of information. So by knowing this, we can then determine our heights, like we've just explained. Yep. The height there. That can be called up as a dimension. Also this height, the door height, can be called up as a dimension too. And then lastly, the height from the ground all the way up can be called up as a third height. And those would be 3 vertical heights on the drawing. Now, I think with all that information, and I've just shown the strategy and what this looks like, you're going to see me draw this. This is going to be interesting now because all I have from here is a floor plan. And I really don't want to draw the floor plan. So how am I going to deal with this? I'm going to take measurements. So what's the strategy I'm going to use? I'm going to take these measurements here. Yeah. They're going to observe that measurement, and then this measurement. Those measurements, I'm going to set them up on a horizontal plane. So I'm going to call these up like that. Offset them until I get something looking like that. After that, I'm then going to set up my height. Remember? My height. My floor to the ring beam height. I'm going to do that. Then once I've done that, I remember that my overhang is 450, so I can come here, put up my 450, and set up my roof. I know my roof is going to be something like that, and then I'm going to work with that. So that is the general start to this. And once I have done that, the rest of the details I can insert properly because I'll be working within some constraints, and I would have set up my boundaries for this drawing already. So let us start here now. All right. So let's go alpha line, and I pull this across. I'm in the hatch layer. I wish to be in a construction layer. This doesn't look straight. Alpha line, put on my ortho, and that's it. Set this up here, and that's good. So let's observe these dimensions. I'm going to move this across here, which makes it easier for me when I'm drawing, for me to observe these. Another thing, I'm going to rotate this. So that I can see the exact dimensions that I need. So this one that I need is 4. So that's 4.0. So that is 4,000, right? That is 4,000. That's what I'm going to be inserting when I hit my offset. So that's one thing I want y'all people to recognize how to read this. Okay. Offset 4,000. Yeah, offset 4. I'm not seeing my commands down here. Gotta move. Okay, great. Properly. Okay. The first thing is I should have gotten the full thing. 11,000. That's it. And then from this side, 4.9. 4900. Perfect. And then we know at the height going up, let's check back the specifications. The height going up here is 2550. Offset 2550. And that's my setup there. What I'm going to do is grab these two lines and I'm going to place them into my hidden. Right? These are my two hidden lines. I'm going to extend them because I want them long so I can label them at a later time. So that's the frame. That's the frame there. Sorry. Or this is where my vertical walls are. Now I need to alpha line and create. Now what am I going to create? The next thing is, I'm going to offset these. So I know these walls, this first one I'm cutting through is going to be a 150 and the last one is going to be 150. So the first thing I'm going to do is offset the outer walls, 150 coming in. Yeah. And these ones on the inside, I'm going to offset these at 100. Cool. That is it so far. Yeah, that looks good. And that looks good. All right. So this one is not actually a wall we're cutting through. So seeing that I've just realized that I can remove this line. This, you just see a wall in elevation. And then this is the storage. And this is the laundry. So we'll divide this into two so that we'll get where the beam goes. Simple division into two. So you know that is my division there. And I'm going to put that, offset that at 100. So we know the top of the beam. All right. Now, how do we find the bottom of the beam? The bottom of the beam is the door height. The height of the door from the finished floor, which is this line, up. And if I remember, that is 2000. So I'm going to offset 2000. And that is where we find, you're right. And that is also the bottom of the beam. So I can trim this. No. So if people are wondering, what is this that I just placed in there? And why did it go in at a stage like this? Let me just explain that. This in here is an arch or opening, right? So I've created this opening by showing what happens above. Yeah. And then I'm going to show some lines down here in the background. But I'm going to make this thick. All right. I put that in outline. Then this would then go like that. All right. So I've just placed that in there because that can get lost when we're drawing. Now, so we know where our doors are. We have our door heights and we have our basic information in. The next thing I need to do is I need to offset to find my roof overhang. And I know that is coming in at 450. Let me just check over here. Roof overhang is 450 right there in your face. Let's just slide back over here. What am I going to do? I'm going to offset 450 from these outer lines. 450 to the left, 450 to the right. And I know this is where my roof overhang would end up. So I can trim here, but that line doesn't go under there. Now, next thing, let's put in the roof. I'm putting in my roof at an angle of 30 degrees. So for that, we hit shift, less than symbol, 30 degrees. And that's my roof. Okay. I'm going to also copy this, place it over here, and then mirror it. MI to mirror, select the object, and use this as my line. So I pull that up there. Do you want to erase source object? Yes. So that's all that I have here. Now, we know at the top here of our roof, there is a flat bit here. So let me just represent that. So some students might wonder how then do we do that? Let me just move this out of the way now. How then do we do that? Well, if I know that is going to be there, do we have any clues that can help us with that? Well, we can. If we have built the house in its entirety, we'll probably be able to find out where exactly that falls. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pull a line and assume this point here, because that is not what you're going to be tested on. You're going to be tested on if you can get this assembled, not on the accuracy of where that line is supposed to be. And this is what I mean. Knowing what is important, as in it, what needs to be precise and what can be left to the student's discretion. And that is one thing that I always encourage my students. Understand that. Understand what they're being tested on and work that, rather than try to make every little thing too precise, and then you miss the goal at hand. So now that I've got the roof in and I just have a frame. So far, so good. I have a frame and I'm going to work with this. All right. Now, luckily for me, this drawing doesn't need to be too detailed, because they didn't give me any members to specify how to set up my rafters and stuff like that. So I'm just going to keep this fairly loose. I'm bringing this here. They didn't even tell me to use a wall plate, which I like that. So I can do something like this. Just connect this to form a rafter right here. And I'm just going to fillet that to the fascia. And that is how our roof there has been connected. Some of these lines will go up to the top. I need to trim these here. Yeah. Perfect. Now, what else do I need to put in here? I need to pick a point that I'm going to start from and detail this. And I'm going to start from the floor. So I know that we have, let's see how many steps we need to take before we get in to the property. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there. Okay. So I'm going to offset this, let's say 200 down a step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? How much are we going to make each step? I'll probably make each step something like 250. Let's see. How does 250 look? It looks too slight. I'll make it 450. Well, it's better it be 450 than it be 250. So I've just cleaned that up. Made the steps there, which enter. And by doing that, then I can establish a ground line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Okay, so 1 is missing. Let me see. What was the general height? I think it was 200. So I can offset this 200 down for the last. Let me fill it and clean this up. No. So I've done that. Nicely done. What's the next step now? Next step is that I am going to give this a thickness. This is going to be a thickness of concrete. We're going to use a thickness of 100 and probably about 50. Let's say 150 for this concrete. Some people use between 125 to 150. But we use 150. Just keep it there. You don't need to go over that for the concrete slab. Just trim that. And I'll just trim that. And yep. And that's our slab in there. Then what else we need to do? We need to put in our foundation. So seeing this is the ground here, I'm going to bring my foundation somewhere around here. Yep. So for my foundation, I know that my foundation is going to be 200 by 600. Okay. And just trim it. All right. So that's the foundation footing. I'm going to copy this over to the next place that it will be needed. Yes, I'm moving quickly because I'm treating this as though I were in an exam. Now, they didn't tell us to put in any marrow fill, but I'll just put in a layer here at 300. This helps to show an understanding that I know what goes into a foundation. Now, what's the next step? The next step is that I can offset my rafters at 150, and let's see how that works. That's a 150 rafter there. Oh yeah, that looks much better. That works much cleaner. Now, I can offset the I'm going to offset one layer of close boarding over the rafters. And then on top of the close boarding, I'm going to place one layer of battens. So that layer would come in at, let's use the battens at 30 by 30s. So I put that there, and then I'm going to put the galvanized sheet in on that, which let's use, I should probably use a 5 mil, although it's less than that, but I want to have a line there thick so it can be represented properly. Now I'm going to offset about 100 here, and that's too much, Raymond. I just want to end off this material. You would see what I mean. Yeah. Right. Right, good. So I've ended the roof like that. That looks good. And the good thing is I can trim this and I can actually mirror this. Yeah. So I can take out this whole expression here, blam, copy this, do off a copy, place it there, And then I can mirror this whole thing just like that. And then I can erase the original one, and I am a happy camper. And this looks good, and I am happy. So this explains in a diagram how my roof is going to set up and how my section is going to look. All right. So let's look at it. I've cut through there. I'm going to be showing there, I've shown that, and I now need to show this window over here. This window, I'm going to place that in. So that window, if I can remember, is a laundry window, and that is going to come in at 500. Yeah, that is going to come in at 500 square. So just place a line here and then offset 500 down, and that's my window. I'm going to place a frame of 50 inside, and show the glass panel. Offset the glass panel probably about 10. Yeah, grab this whole thing and place it into the window and door layer. Let me break these lines. I always like to do that. Why do I break these lines? To show this is the window that we are actually representing. And the rest is just the wall there. Now, that is that. I'm going to come over here and I need to put in a door. So the door, what's the door going to be? No, the door is not cut through there. The door cut somewhere back, somewhere. So if we come from this end and I then offset, so let's see where the door is, because I'll show you the strategy for finding the door. If you come from this end and then you offset that distance and then you offset that distance, that lines back up with where your door is. So it's plus this distance plus that distance. That's the quick strategy. So let's get that. That's 5 point. Let's go. Offset 5.00 or 5,000 to there. Then offset 4300 to there. So that tells me where my door is. Nice, cheap and sweet, right? I haven't said that in a while. And now I can offset 150 in that direction. Extend this up to there. And that is my door. My door comes in here. Let me give myself a door frame. And then I'm going to break this. And pull that back to there. Why do I do that? So that these are actually different lines, but they look like one line. So I can represent that. The blue is for the door, and this is represented now by a wall that we're looking, and I'm going to be looking at a column. So this is the column here that I have. Do they tell me how wide my columns are? No, but I can perhaps make my columns as wide as I want. You know what? I'll just keep it simple, and I will keep the column the same size as the beam. Yeah. And that there is the column. Yeah. All right. Okay. So that looks good. We look through there. We can see the door. We cut through the door. And we are going to see, no, we don't see any of these windows. This is where I'm looking at. We do not see any of these windows here. When we look down, nope. You just see this line. I got that. I got that. I got that. I got that. And I got that. All right. I think I got the main elements from here now. It is just me putting in the representation. All right. So what I'm going to do is to copy. So if this is here, this has to be there, 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 and there for this to work. So I'm going to trim, 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 trim. Probably there was a faster way to do that. Oh yeah, I could fit it. Alpha line, bring that down to there. I am nice. Okay. So that's it. I'm not going to detail this too much. That's it. Now what I'm going to do is put in the representation. The H, just going to put that. That's concrete. Concrete will go there. Concrete will go there. 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 And there. Also in here too. And also here. This is where concrete is going to go. So I've shown that I understand where the concrete is going to go. I'm now going to put this into the correct, represent it properly, and see what I've done. Right? Now, this is something that I don't like doing. Having to come and twiddle with these. So I have these here already decked out, ready to go. Like concrete, I just bring that in, explode that. And I'll tell you why this is so important. I don't have to waste time sizing. I don't really want to waste time sizing. Right? So that looks good. That represents concrete. That's good to go. Next thing now, I need to represent my bricks. Right? Bricks here. Brick there. Brick there. Bricks there. Bricks there. Bricks here. So now I'll do the same thing. I'll go to my insert and I'll bring my block work. Put that there. Explode it. And then match drop it. I didn't explode it. Match drop it. That saves a lot of time. And that helps you in the long run. So if you know these things, you can make these things blocks so that when you go for them, you don't have to waste a lot of time. Notice the next thing you want, hardcore, marrow fill, explode that. Right, put in a hatch, any random hatch in there. Oh no, that's not going to work. I don't know why. Let's try. Okay, it worked now. Match drop this hatch, grab it, put it there. And that's my hardcore marrow fill. I always try to get these to look like triangles, so where I can, I would just play around till I get look. Right, that's the look. The triangle look, and I'm satisfied. Now the last thing is offset 200. Offset 200. And what am I doing here now? I'm just going to give the ground a thickness. Offset 200. And that's usually something that I do. Wherever there's a ground, give it a thickness. Now, on the other side, there also is some steps getting out. So seeing that I don't, we're not really going to be cutting through these in section. I'm not going to show much information for that. I'm just going to grab this and copy it over here, right? And then I'm going to mirror it. Erase source object and just grab that and then just attach that to there, right? And that works. That works fine for me. It just tells me that this is in elevation. Now, place a hatch in here to represent the ground. And go into my insert and look for earth, right? This is my earth, explode it as usual, and then match drop it, and that there represents my earth. Could remove these last bottom lines to show that the earth is continuous. That's that. Offset this down about 200 so we can put the earth there as well. MA, that's continuous, and that's that. So straight off, my section is finished here. What I need to do now is I need to label. So I need to label some rooms, I need to label some heights to get my marks on the board. And yeah, I can match drop this and put some of these. What I can do is turn off, go on to another layer. So I can turn off the hatch. So let's go into outline there. Let's do some cleaning it now. Let's turn off the windows and doors. All right, good. So I might short this. So let's grab this now, right? Look at that. Ain't that easy? Yeah. So now I'm going to turn on windows and doors and everything else. And it should be good to go. Look at that. Perfect. Good. Oh yeah, we need to hatch in here. This is a column. So I suspect this is going to be a concrete column. That's it. Now, are we missing anything? Yes, we are. We are missing the plaster line offset 10. This will show that we understand the construction. All right. So how is the plaster line going to be represented? I'm going to represent the plaster line in construction layer. I'm just going to draw a line, match drop, grab that, and that's my plaster line. Wherever I'm cutting through a wall, I'm going to place this. And just clean up the edges here. Yep. So that's finished. Now what I can do is label these rooms that I'm now cutting through. So this first one here is a porch. MTex. Call this a porch. 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 I'm just going to copy. Then we're going through the living room. Then we're going to go through the kitchen, a bit of the kitchen, but we're not really going to see. So this room here is going to be the storage. No, this is the storage. This is the laundry. And this. Okay, so no, you're not. No, you're not going to see this. And this, you're going to be cutting through. Is a door. Door right here. Just make the adjustment. All right, so now we've gotten those. What else do we need to do to get our marks now? We need to also place in, so you put in the walls, the floors, the foundation, the roof, at least 3 vertical dimensions. And then I'm going to label these things that are placed in, and that will be the end of question 1. So I'm going to dimension. That's 1 dimension here. Two dimension there. And then there's the overall dimension now. All right, so those are my 3 dimensions. Now I think I can label. What I'm going to do is grab these annotations here. So I respect out. So what am I going to be labeling? I'm going to label, well, let's go walls. Brick walls. Block walls. Block walls. Let's grab this so I can copy it. Call this the foundation. Foundation. Call that the floor. And call this the roof. And I think that gives us something that we can tick off. So I'm going to bring it here now and let us examine it before we move on, right? Let's move this over. And this also needs to be mirrored. I was drawing this, you're so sorry. I was drawing this kind of backward. Not a good practice. Anyway, these walls need to be extended. Yeah, that's one thing. And these need to be placed into, right, because those happen in the background. Right. So let's go through the checklist here. before we move on. So the foundation, I've taken the floor, I've shown the walls, I've taken the roof, and at least 3 vertical dimensions. I need to put a scale on. Show all construction details. I'll do that. And label all construction members. So I'll do that. So this is fairly loose here, how they want us to do this. So I'm going to grab my title bar, bring my title bar in and place it here. Again, explode everything so that I can get through. This is a building section, A-A. And the scale we want is scale 1 to 50. Right? If I remember, yep, scale 1 to 50. And they want us to label, really sure I can label all members, all main construction members. So what are main members? Right. So I would, this is a main member. And that would be a rafter. This is a main member. That there will be that's a fascia. And what is else is a main member? This is a brick wall. What else is a main member? This is a window. That's a main member, a window, brick wall, foundation. Think of label enough. They didn't tell us how many, but I have them in there. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to label, this is the finished floor. Finish floor level. I don't want it so big. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to match drop it to this. What size are these at? 75 roughly. Put that at 75. Cool. Finish floor level. Copy this note. And then this would be where the beam is. So I can get rid of that. Or at the top of beam. Top of beam. Cool. So I've labeled everything. I've done everything I can possibly do for that. And I think that's a wrap of this question. Now, I'm going to take a break here. And then I'm going to come back to answer questions 2. This is question 1B. Now, so the first thing is we are going to be drawing a front elevation of the building. Yeah. Show clearly all construction details. Label all main construction members. Print a suitable title and the scale used at the base of each drawing. So we're drawing an elevation, but we need to identify which elevation we'll be drawing. So let's look. Okay, so let's look now. We are going to be drawing this elevation here, and because the arrow is here, telling us that this is the elevation we're drawing. So we are going to be looking at the building in that direction. So what are we going to see? We are going to see a window in bedroom 1. We're going to see a set of stairs or set of steps leading into the porch. We're going to see 2 columns. We're going to see a window in the porch, and we're going to see a door. So these are the main things that we are going to see that I've just circled on the drawing. So let's go over to my drawing over here and see if we see these things. There's a window.
There's a door. There's a column. There's a second column. Then there's another window. And then there are the stairs here. So this is what the elevation is roughly going to look like. Now, how do we draw this? Because we don't want to draw the plan. So what is the strategy? Well, the strategy is we're going to take this distance here and offset it 10.1. And we're going to come back and we have this distance 3.7. We're going to offset it from this position. And then I'm going to offset. And what are we going to do to get? Okay, so then the next step is we take this distance and I'm going to divide it in half. So that I can locate the columns. So once I've divided that in half, so I'll just put that there as half. I can then distribute the column and the steps. So the steps are going to be on one half, the column is the halfway line, then the column is going to be on the other side. I'm going to insert a window somewhere here. I might not know the exact location, but that isn't directly necessary. And then this door. And I can put that in also. That doesn't have to be directly in position. So that is how I'm going to approach this exercise now. So I think I'm going to set it here and start my drawing. So draw a baseline. I'm going to go back into the proper layer. I like to draw in either construction or outline layer. So start in my construction. This is my baseline. Project a line upward. Then I'm going to offset that 10, 100. Yep. That's the distance I'm working with. I remember the inside height to the ring beam is 2.5. You know what we can do to make this easier? I'm going to bring everything over here. Show you good drawing practices. Right. I'm going to project this line across. And I'm going to connect that to here. Great. So what this means is that I'm sharing the same floor line as the section. So you can reference information from the section. I think that is much easier. I can project that. And you can project that. All right, cool, great. Okay, let me offset the distance that didn't come over. All right, that is the full length of the elevation. So what are we doing now? I got a strategy for finding the door. It just came to mind. You take this distance and then split it in half. And where the halfway line is, just place the door in there. I think I'm going to do that. Right, so we're gonna build this door. And what's the information for the door? The door is, the external door is 900 wide by 2000 high. So if this is 900 wide, I'm just going to offset 450 to the left and to the right. Because the door is going to be placed in the middle. And that's my door there. I'm going to remove the middle line, trim this. Trim the bottom. That's my door in. Let's put a frame around the door, a frame of 50. Okay. That's the door frame. That's in. That looks good. Let's place that into the door and window layer. All right, so that's done. That was easy. Now, what else can we put in while we're here? Well, we can possibly put in the windows and doors. Let's see if we can work with this. Look at this distance here. So you see we can offset the bedroom 3.7 meters and then find the midpoint and place the window in. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to offset from here 3,700. Find the midpoint and place the window in, right? And the window is going to be a 1200 window. Remember that, 1200. So offset down 1200 and offset 600 from the center point. Go 600 and 600 give you 1200. Let me just clean this up. So now the window is in. Let me just give it a frame. 50 millimeter is the frame thickness. We place this frame around the window. Clean up the frame by using the fillet tool. That's the window in. You can probably divide the window in half and give it a division. Offset 10. Okay, that's your window there. And a similar window is going to be placed in the living room. Now, what can we do? Now from here. So after knowing this now, I can then take this and then divide this into half. All right, yep. And then this is where the column is going to go. So why did I do that? Because I took this distance. I'm just going to that distance and then divide that into half. I think I explained that already, so I'm not going to spend too much time there on that. So I've divided that into half, and I know a column is going to go there on that half, so I can just put in this column at 150 millimeters thick. So 75 makes 150. And out here, we're going to offset that in, make 150. So both columns are in. What else do I need to put in? I need to put in the window. So what I'm going to do is find the halfway between the two columns and place my window there in the middle. Yeah, I found the halfway mark. Let me just copy this window. Nice and easy, cheap and sweet. And we are there. So I have my windows in and my doors are in. Sorry, my doors in. One door, two windows, two columns. Now, what else do we need? We need the steps. So you can reference the steps from here. And I can do this, copy this line up. So that's a quick way of me getting the steps. And I think the steps, how wide are the steps? The steps come in about halfway of the column. So just find that and represent that here. So just roughly find halfway. Let me just trim off. Do the same thing on the other side. All right. Now, where else? What's the next step? Next step now is to put on the roof. The roof. We can reference the roof from over here. That's what I'm going to do. And Just move that up slightly. And now we can even use the same angles that the roof uses. And I'm going to give it the same exact overhang. The distance is 450. So I'm going to offset and install my overhang. So my roof does not go past there. Yep. That's my bottom line. And this should be my top. I think I gotta study this a little more so that I don't do the wrong thing. Right, let me analyze this. Okay. This. Okay. I got it. I got it. Okay. I think I figured it out. So I just transferred it to the other side and I mirrored the detail. Okay. So this is a finished elevation. This is a finished elevation with all the information they give us. Now I'm just going to transfer this into my outline there. Let me make sure I do this properly. And what are we going to label on this elevation? So now that we have finished drawing it, that's 1/3 of the marks there. I always tell my students, you need to do 3 things to get your full marks. First, you need to be able to draw. Okay, so you can draw. All right, that's 1/3 of the marks. Secondly, you need to be able to label. You need to be able to label what you have drawn. And then lastly, you need to be able to dimension what you have drawn. So let's get to the labeling now. So I'm going to bring over the same references that I use for my section. I'm going to use those. And I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add the ground level. Ground level, finished floor level, top of beam. All right. Now I'm going to call up my window. But before I do that, let me just call up door here on this one. DWR. I'm going to call up the window. I'm also going to call up the door. And I'm going to call up my roof. So I got my roof, I got my door, I got my window. And what else can I call up? I can call it my block wall. Oh, I'm going to call it my column. Yeah, so I'm going to call this up as a column. This is 150 by 150 mm concrete column. All right. Okay, we can call these up as steps too. Steps. And it's good to show how the door opens, to show that you have an understanding of how the door swings open. This is always impressive. That's an indicator line to show that the door is opening, that the hinge is on this side, on the left side. All right, so I think I've gotten everything in now. I don't see any parts of this elevation omitted. What I'm going to do is going to hatch. I'm going to put a roof material on to this roof. And remember, the pattern user is a good one. Let me just change the angle 90 degrees. I'll probably change the scale size to 10. 100. Let's work with 100. Then I'm going to place this into the hatch layer, right? Yep. And that looks good. Lastly, I'm going to label, I'm going to give this drawing a name. Slide this across here. And this is building elevation. Building elevation, scale 1 to 50. So before we go on any further, let us just check. So I'm moving around here to check. I don't need this sheet, so I can delete this because that has question 2 and we're not doing question 2 in section 1. So let's check. Show clearly all construction details. I've done that. Label all main construction members. I'm going to do it. I'm also going to label the fascia. That's what I'm going to label. Print a suitable title and scale used at the base of each joint. So let's do that. I'm going to label the fascia. Yep. Fascia board. Call this metal roof. Metal roof sheeting. Window, door, steps label, ground level. Also, I'm going to offset 200 to just give the ground level a hatch. Cool. That's done. I'm going to also trim these because I stretched them over, but these now are their own lines. Let's clean up this joint here by trimming everything back here. And lastly, dimension. So everything is there. So this is a finished drawing. And saying that these 2 questions are finished, what I'm going to do is remove my example of annotation, remove this, and I'm going to take this. Actually, let us insert the name. At this stage, I would encourage everyone to save your drawing, place a title, place the drawing in a proper location. What date is this? This is done on March 30th, 2023. All right, so now you can copy this and all that information will be copied and that will be placed here. Cool. All right, so that looks better. That's done. So that's question 1A and 1B finished. You get my full marks there. Now I'm going to move on. We have done question 1, A and B. We now need to move on to the sketch and design question. So let us look at this sketch and design question here before we actually bring it in. What does this question ask of us? Question asks of us to make neat, well-proportionate sketches to show the symbols for representing the following walls in section: stone rubble, concrete block, brick, composite with internal and external renders, and reinforced concrete. We are going to do question 3 first, and then we are going to come and return and do question 4. But let us look at this question on my sketch paper. So this is what the stone rubble would look like. I'm just going to highlight it. This is what the stone rubble would look like. Yeah, that's how it would be represented. This is what the concrete block would look like and represented. And this detail is split into 2. This is a composite wall, where this is the layer plaster to the left and the layer plaster to the right, and the brick in the middle here. And then this is also a composite wall, which has everything combined and overlaid over each other to the left. It's a bit confusing, so that's why I decided to split this detail into 2. This is the symbol to represent brick. And this is the symbol to represent reinforced concrete. Now, I'm going to create small rectangles and insert these and place labels next to them. And that is all. That will give me my full marks there for representing these symbols. So let's do that quickly. So I can even draw a rectangle. First thing, the brick. No, stone rubble. So I hit H for hatch. And you got to know what your stone is, or what looks like the stone. The main thing for stone, S. No, if nothing for stone, I would suggest you use AN SI 36. Yeah, put that in there and probably scale that to 100. 200. 500. Yeah, 500 seems to work well. So we'll call this stone. Stone rubble. Brick wall. No, this is concrete. Concrete block. Match. And I saw the representation. It's right here. That had about 100. Oh no, 200. 300. I think 300 is a good representation there. We can leave that there. Or let's try 500. We'll leave it at 500, whatever. Now we're going to create the composite wall. Composite wall. And then I'll put here plaster on both sides. On both sides. All right. So I'm going to create a line like that. And create a line like that. Now I'm going to mirror this line here. So it's dead even. I'm going to place the plaster first. So for that, we want sand, AR sand. Yeah. And I'm going to put the scale at, let's say 50. Oh, 50 looks good. Yeah, 50 is good. Replaster. And then I'm now going to put the same concrete brick. So I'm going to match drop that, and that's it there, right? So that's how we have done that there. I'm going to reduce these. These frames, but you don't need them so large. Cool. Now, what else needs to be done? We need to represent brick wall, arch, and let's look for the brick. I use this to represent brick and put it at a scale of 500. Yeah, that's the brick wall there. And lastly is reinforced concrete. Reinforced concrete. How do we do that? Let's look here. And you get the air archon. And I'm going to change this back to 100 or even 50. Yeah, I think that's it. And that is how we represent our materials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label this section over here. So I'm now going to move on to the last question. Make neat, well-proportioned, three-dimensional sketches to illustrate the following types of windows. So the first window is awning, second, casement, and the third, horizontal sliding. So I have done these as well. Let's have a look down here at these three windows. Let's explain. So this is our awning window here. And we can see it's a square window and it opens. It's a piece that's open. And then this piece here is fixed. And that's how it opens. So that means the breeze flows through like that. And it goes through there, right? Cool. Next window is our casement window, which is right here. And this is how this window opens. You see? And on this side too, it opens in that direction. And this goes in. It opens similarly to double doors. This is the casement window. Again, the wind goes through here. Yeah. Lastly, horizontal sliding. Horizontal sliding. No. This slides on a track, going left to right, so that this moves. Then this goes back here and close. And then the wind comes through here. All right. So these are the three windows that we are going to represent now. So the first thing is you realize that these need to be all drawn as isometrics. So I'm going to go over and turn on my isometric mode. Polar tracking 30, 60, 90, 120. It's on, and I'm going to draw an isometric box and make this as easy as possible. So I'm going to actually trying to figure out where to draw this. So let's start here. It's 50. No. Let's use a distance of 50. It's too small. Probably like 500. You know what? 1200. Yeah. And 1200. But that's the information they gave us to work with, right? So just put a frame of thickness onto the window. That's the window there. That's the thickness. Now what I'm going to do is come inside and I'm going to offset it 100. Generally, I don't offset when I'm drawing in isometric mode, but this is a sketch. So I'm not interested in things being exactly in a perfect location. So I allowed myself here. It's the awning. Gotta put a frame for the yep. That's your awning there. And you can get your marks. So I'm just going to grab this and place it here. Got that awning window. Isometric. Boom. What's the other window that they want us to draw now? They want us to draw a casement. So I'm going to grab this, copy. You know what? I can label these underneath so as to save space. Casement window. You can grab that. I should have. Ah, damn. You know what? I should have done all the trimming on the inside before I move that. Sometimes I really don't think. I'm just moving, trying to get things done quickly. I'm not exploring all my thoughts. I'm coming up with the best and the quickest option. Sometimes I'm really on, that I know my options and they're dear to hand, and things generally work really smooth. So this is the second window. Just bring that closely there. That is the casement window, as we can see. You know what? I'm just going to put in this. Remove this expression. Place that there, place that there, place that there. Cool. One more window to go. What's this third window? It's a horizontal sliding. So let's copy this out. Copy. Move this over to here. And we got to get rid of that. Okay. Horizontal sliding. This should be fairly easy from how we have this set up. Okay. I'm going to slide it on the other side. too many options to get in one thing then. Options. Yeah, I was just about here concentrating. That's why you weren't hearing me on the stream, on this video, sorry. I knew this was going to be a difficult one based on how I started to draw this. Because I just didn't approach it properly. Yeah, good. All right, so we have the sliding window, the horizontal sliding window. And we can see this window here in the background slides on this trap. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place all these windows on one common line. Means I just need to move this up. Yep, good. And I'm going to place some labels in them. I'm going to grab the word porch, copy it here, and copy it here and there. Awning window, casement window, and this is horizontal sliding window. Now, once I have done that, I can bring these closer up here. And I'm going to place title over here. And what am I going to call this? Types of windows. Isometric, metric types of windows. Isometric types of windows. And by the looks of this, I think we can start wrapping up. We are going to do one final review to make sure we have done everything. I always encourage my students to check over their work. So I'm going to do that now. So let's look back at this exam and see what was asked of us. The first thing is we had to create a section at a scale of 1 to 50. And in the section, we had to include foundation, floor, walls, roof, and at least 3 dimensions. Let's check that. We've created the section. We've shown the foundation, the floor, the walls, the windows, the roof, and I've shown 3 dimensions here. And I have my labels and my scale and everything is done. Question 2. What did question 2 asks of us? Well, it's not question 2, part B. To draw to scale 1 to 50 the front elevation of the building. Show clearly all construction details, label all main construction members. So I've done that. And I've shown the steps. You can probably bring this out here. So the arrow will be pointing at the steps. I have shown the door, I've shown the window, I've shown the column, the fascia board, the metal sheeting roof, and I've shown 3 dimensions. And I've also highlighted where the top of the beam, the finished floor, and the ground level is. Yeah. Now, that's question 1A and B finish. Let's go over now and look at the sketch and design part. Make a neat, well-proportioned sketch to show the symbols for representing the following walls in section. So we had to represent a stone, rubble, concrete block, brick, composite with internal and external render, and reinforced concrete. Let's look at that. Stone rubble here, concrete block here, composite wall, plaster on both sides, reinforced concrete here, brick wall here. That's done. Now, what's the last question? Last question, make neat, well-proportioned 3-dimensional sketches to illustrate the following types of windows: awning, casement, horizontal sliding. This is our awning window. This is our casement window. And then this is our horizontal sliding window. Okay? Now that we are finished here, I can actually get rid of this. No, let me just keep that. Get rid of this sketch, which helped me. I use the sketch so I can explain the instructions better, highlight the keywords, and sketch and explain the specs, and generally give you an understanding of what the project will look like before I actually draw it in AutoCAD. So I hope that y'all appreciated this additional educational material added to the channel. If so, give it a thumbs up. Always remember to like and subscribe to the channel at this stage. I'm just thanking all y'all for staying here with me because this was a long presentation, but it was worth it. Especially if you are doing CXCs anytime this year, this is worth it. All right. Let me just zoom extents, and that there is a finished CXC question. No, sorry, a finished CXC paper. Hope you enjoyed this presentation. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If it's too much at one time, watch it in small segments. But whatever you do, learn it. I am out.